Hello everyone. I had my handmade stamps out here and I thought that I would do a quick demo on crayon rubbings with watercolor. So for this you can use anything that has a texture. I'm going to use some of these and it's really easy. I use regular wax crayons. I'm going to use a light color. Regular wax crayons, and I use the flat edge to just rub the design into or onto the paper. And I like to use the flat part because if you use tip, you might get a little bit more wax because the crayon digs in a little bit. You can see. And that makes it a little more difficult for the watercolor to get through because the wax crayons create a barrier and the watercolor can't get through it. So let me do one of these. And the trick to this is you want to use a contrasting color. If you use a dark crayon, you want light colored watercolor. If you use a light crayon, you want dark watercolor. And like I said, you can use anything to create anything that has a texture. Anything that has a texture at all. And let me do, this is a generic Lego board that I got at the Dollar Tree. And I like the generic because the Lego logo is not on top of every single dot, and it creates a better pattern. So I really like this board, and it's a big one too. So that's all I've done is made some rubbings, and I will just take regular watercolor, and we've got a light green here. You can see it in the, it's a light green, so let me put a dark blue over it. And you can see where that crayon touched the paper, the watercolor can't get through. So that makes a really cool little collage fodder. And I like to let them dry naturally and put little dots in. And what that does, when the watercolor dries, it has these splotches, and I just like that. This one was a rubbing over a few stencils, different stencils, and then watercolor over. And like I said, I left these great big huge puddles so that when it dried, they'll be really splotchy. And one way that I do that so that my workstation is not letting papers dry, I'll put it on a tray so I can move it someplace else. But let me just put some splotches on this one, And tomorrow we can look at them. You can see how cool they are. Okay, let's do another one. So much fun. It's so much fun. Okay, this one is blue and purple. This one was the tip of the crayon. So there's a lot of wax on that. And this was the side of the crayon here. And what color should I use for that? Purple. I guess we can use a yellow or an orange. Let's get some color over here. Don't usually do it this way, but here we go. So let's just brush that color over there. It's a greenish yellow, which is fine. And you can see that where I use the tip, there's a lot of wax on that. And so the watercolor can't get to the paper. And over here on the side, where I use the side of the crayon, the watercolor gets to more of the paper, so it's more of a design. And I'm going to make some splotches. There we go. And I'm going to put those splotches over that ink or that block right there, and you can see what it looks like when it dries. All right. So the last one, move this over just a tad. The last one is blue and purple. What should we put on top of that? Some green. I'll just brush it on. I really like this, and I will do this to create all kinds of little bits of fodder to use. Because I just like the color, and I like the patterns, and I like that it's unique and interesting. I'm going to splotch some little bits of blue on top of that. And let that dry. So I will come back tomorrow after. I like to naturally let them naturally dry. It just seems better for them. They seem to get a little faded when you try to use a heat tool on them. So I will just let those dry naturally and come back to them. So here are a few that I used. Again, a stencil, and here's some of the little splotchies that dried. And like I said, keep in mind you want a contrasting color with the watercolor and the crayon so that you can see. If you use green on green, you're not going to see it very well. So you want contrasting color. And this one, I did rubbings over some stamps and used pink and green for that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to do. It's really easy. It takes a little bit of time just to wait for stuff to dry, but I really like the results. So have fun. Use anything that has any kind of texture at all to it. It's really fun to do. One of my favorites, I guess I better just show it to you real fast. One of my favorite texture plates is, I have like 4 different flip-flops that I like. I like the flip-flops. I'm going to use a different color paper, but I like the designs that the flip-flops make. Really like them a lot. And I can do different colors on top. And then it might be too dark. Yeah, that one was too dark. I guess we can see what happens with that. Scrub some of that off. Try it again with a different piece. Okay. Lighter color paper. Gonna get all to the edges. Move it around. And this time, it's a better water. My water is not the best. This time I'm going to use a pink. Yeah. You can see the pattern. Pink and blue. Not my best choice, but it is what it is. So that's another one that I like to add a bunch of splotches to and just let it dry. But you can see the little patterns in there. It might show up a little bit better when it's dried. And we will look at this one tomorrow as well. Some blue splotches in there, just to make it interesting. All right. So anything that has any kind of texture. I love the bottoms of shoes and flip-flops. I'm always asking people, can I see the bottoms of your shoes? Because especially kids' shoes, they've got some really cool soles to them. So anything that has a texture, you can make a rubbing, and you don't have to add watercolor, but I think it adds a little bit of fun to it. So good luck. Happy hunting to find some cool textures. Thanks for watching.